Hey there, I'm glad you could make it. Come gather around the fire while I tell you 5 scary stories based off real historical events. The first story is called The Haunting Whispers of the Catacombs. Beneath the bustling streets of Paris lies a dark and macabre world, a labyrinthine maze known as the Catacombs. Stretching for miles, these underground tunnels serve as the final resting place for the bones of millions. But within these haunted depths, there is a story that chills the bravest of souls. In the year 1793, during the height of the French Revolution, chaos reigned in the city above. The revolutionaries had turned their fury on the aristocracy, and heads fell mercilessly under the blade of the guillotine. In the midst of this turmoil, the catacombs became a clandestine refuge for those fleeing the wrath of the revolution. Among the condemned aristocrats was Marie-Anne, a young woman of noble blood. She had seen her family's fortune evaporate in the fires of revolution, and her very name had become a death sentence. Desperate to escape the guillotine's kiss, she sought refuge in the darkest corners of the catacombs. Marie-Anne's flight from the revolutionaries was frantic and fraught with peril. She descended into the cold, damp tunnels with only the dim light of a single lantern to guide her way. The walls of bone seemed to whisper with secrets, and the shadows danced with malevolent glee. For days, Marie-Anne wandered deeper into the catacombs, her sense of time and direction slipping away. She subsisted on a meager supply of stolen bread and water, her mind slowly unraveling in the oppressive darkness. As her strength waned and hope faded, Marie-Anne began to hear voices. Whispers, faint at first, but growing louder with each passing hour. She could not discern their origin, but the voices spoke of ancient curses and vengeful spirits. The deeper she ventured, the more the catacombs seemed to come alive. Bones seemed to shift, forming grotesque shapes that reached out for her. Phosphorescent fungi cast an eerie, otherworldly glow, and the air grew thick with a sense of foreboding. Marie-Anne's lantern sputtered and died, plunging her into total darkness. Panic set in as the whispers grew louder, their words now clear and chilling. They spoke of a pact with the devil, a curse laid upon those who dared disturb the bones of the dead. Driven to madness by the relentless voices, Marie-Anne ran blindly through the tunnels, her bare feet slipping on the damp stones. She could feel unseen hands grasping at her, pulling her deeper into the abyss. Days turned into weeks, and Marie-Anne's fate became entwined with the very bones that surrounded her. Her screams joined the chorus of the damned, echoing through the endless tunnels. Her hair turned white as snow, and her eyes lost all trace of sanity. One fateful day, a group of urban explorers descended into the catacombs, lured by tales of its haunted history. Among them was a historian, well versed in the legends of Marie-Anne and the curse of the catacombs. As they ventured deeper into the darkness, they stumbled upon a chamber unlike any they had seen before. There, in the flickering glow of their flashlights, they found Marie-Anne's withered, mummified remains, her skeletal hand outstretched as if reaching for salvation. The historian could only mutter a prayer for the tormented soul and offered a solemn warning to his companions. The voices of the catacombs, he told them, never truly faded. They lingered, waiting for the next lost soul to descend into the depths and become part of the never-ending chorus of the damned. And so, the catacombs of Paris remained a place of bone-chilling terror, where the whispers of the past continued to haunt the living, a grim reminder of the price one could pay for seeking refuge in the shadows of history. The haunting of the Aokigahara Forest. In the foothills of Mount Fuji, Japan, there lies a dense and foreboding forest known as Aokigahara. For centuries, this ancient woodland has been a place of myth and dread, its dark reputation rooted in chilling history. In the 19th century, Aokigahara was the site of a practice called ubasut, or the abandonment of the elderly. In times of famine or hardship, families would lead their elderly relatives into the depths of the forest, leaving them to die of exposure or starvation. The souls of those who perished in this cruel manner were said to be forever trapped in the eerie silence of the forest. As time passed, Aokigahara earned a more sinister reputation. It became known as the suicide forest due to the alarming number of people who chose to end their lives among its ancient trees. The forest's dense canopy and nearly impenetrable undergrowth made it the perfect place for those seeking solitude and secrecy in their final moments. It was in the winter of 1960 when a forest ranger named Takashi first encountered the malevolent presence that dwelled within Aokigahara. Takashi had spent years patrolling the forest, aiding lost hikers and attempting to prevent suicides, but nothing could have prepared him for what he would encounter that fateful night. The wind whispered mournful secrets through the trees as Takashi ventured deeper into the forest, following the faint glow of a lantern. His heart pounded in his chest as he stumbled upon a circle of ghostly apparitions, their faces twisted in agony. They were the tormented souls of those who had perished within the forest, their voices a haunting chorus of despair. Takashi tried to flee, but an invisible force held him in place. The ghostly figures closed in, their bony fingers reaching for him. Their eyes bore into his soul, and their anguished wails echoed through the night. Takashi's mind teetered on the brink of madness as he struggled to break free from the grip of the vengeful spirits. He felt a presence, an ancient and malevolent force, watching from the shadows. It was the spirit of Aokigahara itself, a manifestation of centuries of sorrow and suffering. With a surge of desperate strength, Takashi broke free and fled the forest, leaving behind the haunting apparitions. He would never be the same again, forever haunted by the memory of the tormented souls of Aokigahara. Years later, as the forest continued to claim the lives of those who ventured within, Takashi returned to the outskirts of Aokigahara. He had become a guardian of sorts, dedicating his life to warning others of the forest's dark legacy. As he stood on the forest's edge, he gazed into the depths, knowing that the malevolent spirits still lurked within, waiting for the next lost soul to wander into their midst. The chilling whispers of Aokigahara echoed through the night, a haunting reminder of the darkness that dwelled within the ancient woods, a darkness that would never be silenced. Takashi's efforts to protect those drawn to the forest were relentless. He would often station himself near the entrance, offering assistance to those who seemed troubled or lost. He shared the stories of the tormented souls he had encountered and urged them to reconsider their descent into the depths of Aokigahara. One chilly autumn evening, Takashi noticed a young woman named Imiko on the outskirts of the forest. Her eyes were filled with sorrow, and her trembling hands clutched a note. Imiko explained that she had come to Aokigahara to end her life, just like her beloved fiancé had a year earlier. She had left a note for him, and now she wanted to join him in the afterlife. Takashi listened to her heartbreaking story, his heart heavy with sympathy. He spoke to Imiko for hours, sharing his own experiences and the legends of Aokigahara. He implored her to reconsider, to find a way to honor her fiancé's memory without sacrificing her own life. As the night wore on, Takashi's words seemed to reach Imiko's heart. With tears in her eyes, she handed him the note she had written. Takashi promised to help her find professional counseling and support to cope with her loss. Over time, Takashi's dedication to preventing suicides in Aokigahara began to have an impact. He worked tirelessly to raise awareness about the forest's dark history and the importance of mental health. His efforts, along with those of other concerned individuals, led to increased signage and patrols near the forest's entrance. While the forest's reputation as a place of despair and death still lingers, Takeshi's story serves as a beacon of hope. He continues to watch over Aokigahara, not only as a guardian of its secrets but also as a guardian of the troubled souls who find themselves drawn to its haunting depths. The Curse of the Bell Witch. Amidst the picturesque landscape of Adams, Tennessee, in the early 19th century, a nightmarish legend was born, the dread-filled saga of the Bell Witch. Rooted in chilling historical accounts, this tale of terror would haunt the community for generations to come. The Bell family, led by John and Lucy Bell, carved out their peaceful existence in this remote corner of Tennessee in the early 1800s. Their tranquil lives took a ghastly turn in 1817 when bizarre occurrences began to plague their farm. It began with faint, eerie noises, subtle yet inexplicable. Strange knocks echoed through their home, as if unseen hands sought to enter. The family heard ominous bangs that resonated through the wooden floors, and the eerie sound of chains dragging across the floor sent shivers down their spines. Over time, these disturbances escalated into horrifying encounters with an intangible force. It was as if an invisible malevolence had descended upon the Bell homestead. The Bell children, in particular, bore the brunt of the entity's wrath. Their beds would shake violently in the dead of night, jolting them from slumber and filling their hearts with dread. Physical assaults followed relentlessly. A phantom force scratched their flesh, yanked their hair, and even went so far as to encircle their young necks in a suffocating stranglehold. Fearful and desperate, the Bell family sought to communicate with this tormentor. To their astonishment, the entity responded. It introduced itself as Kate Batts, a former neighbor who believed she had been wronged by John Bell in a land transaction. The entity, now known as the Bell Witch, exhibited an eerie intelligence and supernatural prowess. She could mimic voices with unsettling accuracy, her spectral tones creating an uncanny sense of unease. The Bell Witch, it was soon discovered, had a penchant for unsettling songs. Her ethereal voice would rise, pitch-perfect, in chilling harmony, filling the night with hymns that seemed to pierce the very soul. The entity reveled in dark conversations, revealing the Bell family's most intimate secrets with malicious glee. Her words, spoken through disembodied voices, seemed to be a twisted mockery of human communication. News of the Bell Witch's reign of terror spread like wildfire throughout the region, drawing scores of curiosity seekers and skeptics. Some believed the tales to be pure fantasy, while others sought first-hand experience of the supernatural. Richard Powell, a local schoolteacher and a fervent skeptic, openly challenged the entity, taunting it with ridicule. The Bell Witch's response to Powell's skepticism was swift and brutal. Unseen hands, guided by her malevolent will, descended upon the skeptic, delivering a merciless beating that left him battered and bloodied. It was a chilling display of her otherworldly power, a sobering lesson in the dangers of underestimating the supernatural forces at play. As the years passed, the Bell Witch's torment grew increasingly insidious. Her malicious intentions became clear when she ominously declared her intent to poison John Bell. In 1820, John Bell succumbed to a mysterious ailment, his death surrounded by an aura of malevolence. His final moments were marked by the haunting laughter of the Bell Witch, echoing through the house like a harbinger of doom. After John's death, the Bell Witch's reign of terror gradually subsided, but not before she issued a dire promise, that she would return in 107 years. It was a chilling proclamation, one that would later prove to be all too real. The entity, known as the Bell Witch, seemed to keep her word, resurfacing in the early 20th century with a new series of disturbances that terrorized the Bell descendants. The supernatural torment continued, as if the curse of the Bell Witch had taken root in the very soil of Adams, Tennessee. The Bell Witch's haunting presence left an indelible mark on the community. The chilling whispers of her malevolent laughter and the eerie recollection of her curse seemed to permeate the very air. Locals spoke in hushed tones of the vengeful spirit that once terrorized their ancestors, and many believed that the Bell Witch's curse still lingered, waiting for the right moment to manifest its supernatural fury once more. As the sun dipped below the horizon over Adams, the oppressive weight of the Bell Witch's legacy could be felt in the very atmosphere. The chilling echoes of her laughter and the eerie recollection of her curse served as a haunting reminder of the inexplicable and the inexpiable. The Bell Witch, it seemed, would forever remain a ghostly specter in the annals of American folklore, her legacy an enduring testament to the enduring power of fear and the unknown. The Plague's Lament. The year was 1347, and a grim shroud of terror blanketed Europe. The Black Death, a malevolent plague, had descended upon the continent, casting a long, chilling shadow over the lives of all who dwelled within its reach. In a small, isolated village nestled deep within the European countryside, a sense of foreboding had settled over its humble inhabitants. The distant cries of ravens seemed more mournful, and the once cheerful laughter of children had given way to a haunting silence. The plague's inexorable march had arrived at their doorstep. A lone physician named Albert had taken it upon himself to care for the stricken villagers, despite the peril it posed to his own life. Armed with little more than crude remedies and determination, he ventured from home to home, tending to the afflicted. The disease, with its insidious symptoms, swept through the village with ruthless efficiency. The first sign was a high fever, followed by the swelling of painful, blackened lymph nodes. Soon, victims were consumed by violent coughing fits, their breath carrying the scent of death itself. One by one, the villagers succumbed to the relentless onslaught of the plague. Families were torn apart as loved ones fell prey to the merciless disease. The church bells, once a beacon of hope, tolled ceaselessly, marking each passing soul with mournful reverberations. Desperation and fear hung heavy in the air as the dead piled high, awaiting burial in mass graves. Yet, despite the horrors unfolding before their eyes, the villagers held tight to a sliver of hope, praying for salvation from the plague's cruel grasp. One fateful night, as Albert moved from bedside to bedside, he encountered a young woman named Eliza. She lay shrouded in sweat-soaked linens, her face pallid and her eyes hollow with despair. Her coughs echoed with the raspy rattle of the plague's grip. Albert, his heart heavy with sorrow, did all he could to ease Eliza's suffering. He applied soothing compresses and offered her words of comfort, though he knew the odds of her survival were slim. As the night deepened and the village fell into a restless sleep, a bone-chilling silence enveloped Eliza's cottage. The ravens outside, once so relentless in their cries, had fallen silent. It was as if nature itself held its breath in anticipation of the plague's verdict. Suddenly, a piercing scream shattered the stillness, echoing through the village like a banshee's wail. The villagers, their faces etched with terror, rushed to Eliza's cottage, only to find the source of the scream, an empty bed, and Eliza's lifeless body sprawled across the floor. Albert, his once steadfast resolve shattered, knelt beside her lifeless form. He knew that Eliza had succumbed to the plague, her body ravaged by the merciless disease. But what chilled him to the bone was the grotesque grin that contorted her lifeless face, as if the plague itself had claimed her soul. The village, gripped by a sense of impending doom, turned to the church for solace. The priest, his robes heavy with sorrow, led the trembling congregation in prayer, beseeching the heavens for mercy. Yet, even within the hallowed sanctuary, the relentless specter of the Black Death seemed to hover. As the days turned into weeks, the village's population dwindled, its streets growing eerily empty. The plague showed no mercy, sparing neither the young nor the old. The once thriving community had become a ghost town, its houses abandoned and its fields left fallow. The physician Albert, his heart heavy with grief, recorded the names of the fallen, each entry a solemn testament to the relentless march of the plague. The survivors, scarred by loss and despair, knew that their world had forever changed. The Black Death, with its cruel touch, had left an indelible mark on the village and on all of Europe. The haunting echoes of that fateful time would serve as a chilling reminder of the fragility of life and the enduring power of fear. In the midst of devastation, the villagers clung to hope, knowing that the darkness would eventually recede, and the light of a new day would dawn. The plague's lament would forever echo through the annals of history, a mournful dirge for those who perished, and a chilling reminder that even in the face of the most profound darkness, the human spirit can endure and rebuild, forging a future from the ashes of despair. Echoes of Honor. July 1, 1863, marked the beginning of a pivotal battle in the American Civil War, the Battle of Gettysburg. Amidst the chaos and carnage, one man, Lieutenant Adam Reynolds, stood as a beacon of unwavering loyalty and courage in the face of adversity. Adam was the highest-ranking officer in Leonardo's platoon, a close-knit group of soldiers who had become more than comrades, they were brothers bound by the crucible of war. With his stern yet compassionate leadership, Adam had guided them through countless battles, his unyielding resolve becoming a source of inspiration for all who served under him. On the second day of battle, as the thunderous echoes of cannon fire reverberated across the fields of Gettysburg, Adam's platoon found themselves facing a relentless Confederate advance. The battle raged on, and the outcome hung in the balance. As the day wore on and the sun dipped below the horizon, exhaustion and despair began to grip the Union ranks. Yet, amidst the chaos and uncertainty, Adam remained steadfast. He rallied his men with a resolute determination, leading them in a daring charge that pushed back the Confederate forces. However, the tides of war are fickle, and in the midst of the brutal melee, Adam found himself surrounded and outnumbered. Despite his valor, he was captured by Confederate soldiers, his uniform stained with blood and sweat, his spirit unbroken. In the days that followed, Adam was subjected to merciless beatings and relentless interrogations. The Confederate captors, recognizing his high rank and the potential intelligence he possessed, sought desperately to break his spirit and extract valuable information. But Adam remained resolute, his loyalty to his brothers unwavering. Time and again, he defied his captors, refusing to betray his comrades or divulge critical information. His stoicism and unwavering determination earned him the respect of some of his captors, while others grew increasingly infuriated by his defiance. One fateful morning, Adam was brought before a particularly ruthless Confederate officer. The officer, his face etched with frustration, leveled a pistol at Adam's head, his finger trembling on the trigger. "This is your last chance, Lieutenant," the officer sneered. "Talk, or meet your maker." Adam's steely gaze met the officer's, and in a voice filled with unwavering resolve, he replied, "I'll die before I ever turn on my brothers." 2 shots rang out in rapid succession, and Adam's lifeless body slumped to the ground, a martyr to the cause he held dear. Meanwhile, Leonardo and the rest of Adam's platoon pressed on, their hearts heavy with grief for their fallen leader. They knew that Adam's sacrifice would not be in vain, and they were determined to honor his memory by carrying on the fight. But as fate would have it, in the heat of battle, Leonardo found himself captured by Confederate soldiers. As he languished in captivity, his thoughts turned to his fallen comrade, Adam, who had faced a similar ordeal with unyielding bravery. It was in the darkest hours of his captivity that something inexplicable occurred. As Leonardo lay in the cold, damp cell, he felt a presence beside him, a spectral figure, shrouded in the uniform of a Union officer. It was Adam, his ghostly form radiating an aura of determination and hope. With a silent gesture, Adam beckoned Leonardo to follow him. The ghostly figure guided Leonardo through the maze-like corridors of the Confederate prison, evading guards and obstacles with an otherworldly ease. It was as if Adam's spirit had become a guardian angel, watching over his brothers even in death. Together, they navigated the treacherous terrain, moving silently through the darkness, until at last, they reached the outskirts of the Confederate camp. With a final, solemn nod, Adam's ghostly form faded away, leaving Leonardo to make his escape. With Adam's guidance, Leonardo managed to evade capture and return to Union lines. His survival was nothing short of miraculous, a testament to the enduring bond of brotherhood forged in the crucible of war. As the Battle of Gettysburg raged on, the memory of Lieutenant Adam Reynolds lived on in the hearts of his comrades. His unwavering courage and loyalty served as a beacon of inspiration, a reminder that even in the darkest of times, the human spirit can shine with an unquenchable light. The echoes of honor from that fateful battle reverberated through history, a testament to the indomitable will of those who had given their all for a cause they believed in. And in the quiet moments of reflection, soldiers would remember the ghostly figure of Adam, the guardian who had watched over them when they needed him most. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share and comment down below.